Hey guys, welcome back to the Nbtx Living Channel. My name is Chase Bradley.
I'm Veronica Bradley, and today we're going to talk about one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make.
Filling up your gas tank.
No. Buying a house.
We all know that the home buying process can be daunting for anyone, but even more so if you've never done it before. That's why we've made this step-by-step guide to help you navigate through this process so that you can be confident in your decision.
So let's dive in. So the first step is determining how much you can afford. So the last thing you want to do is go into a home and fall in love with it and then to find out that you just can't afford that home.
So take a look at your income, expenses, and savings to determine a realistic budget. The 28-36% rule states that your total housing costs should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income, and your total debt payments should not exceed 36%.
Some additional costs that you may need to factor in are property insurance, home maintenance, and taxes.
So unless you've got tons of cash just lying around, stashed away in your bank accounts, you're really gonna need to get a loan just like the rest of us. And now is the next step, getting pre-approved.
Yeah, getting pre-approved is, there's a pre-qualification, right? A lot of people go to do a pre-qual and there's like a true pre-approval. So typically if you go online and you put your information and you kind of give them the guesstimated or what you think that you make or what you make and all that stuff in there, they're going to give you like a preliminary pre-approval. And someone comes to me and said, I went on XYZ, applied, and I'm like, did you upload your docs? Which means did you upload your W-2s, 1099s, bank statements, everything that's required for them to look at to determine how much you can be pre-approved for? Usually their response is no. So it's very important to understand there are steps within the pre-approval process, but once you get all your paperwork in, it goes by pretty fast and then you're on your way to looking for a home.
There's a lot of different types of lenders out there. You have like your big banks, you think about like Chase, Wells Fargo, and then a lot of times you'll have like your local lenders is typically like the people that you'll see like face to face a lot of times. They'll be handing out their business card, they'll have their own name, maybe they're a part of a mortgage group.
It's very important on who you select as a lender. You want to make sure that they're local, they know the area, and their availability is very important. Now obviously don't go calling your lender at midnight, but for the most part they're going to tell you their availability hours and they're going to make their time available to you so you can get under contract.
So having a pre-approval letter is super important. It lets the seller know that you have skin in the game, lets you know you're super serious, and when you put in that offer that you're pretty much ready to go.
So the next step is finding a real estate agent. Typically people work backwards, so like they'll go find the agent talks to them about their pre-approval, connect them with the lender, so it can work either way. But after you get your pre-approval, your lender will reach out to your agent and say, hey, this is their comfortable budget. I always talk to the clients about what is your you may be approved for, this amount of money, but what's your comfortable budget? What's the minimum monthly payment that you want to stay in? And then one of the questions I ask, the lender, is there any wiggle room too? Because sometimes, if we're showing homes at a price budget that you guys want, right? But then wife and husband aren't agreeing, then I was like, is there any wiggle room to look outside that price budget? So it's very important that the lender and the real estate agent have that communication.
So it's very important that you do your research and you get the right agent, an agent that knows the area that you're looking in.
We want to work with someone who knows the area, who knows the neighborhood. So like we've been to Dallas before. There's no way I'm going to sell homes in Dallas because our fiduciary responsibility is to the client. And it's not just about the money. People want to cover all these areas and they don't know anything about it. So it's very important, and I'm going to tell you what other people aren't going to tell you. It's very important that you work with an agent who knows your area.
Now the fun begins. It's time to start looking at actual houses. Big things to pay attention to whenever you're looking at these houses. Making sure you're staying with the preferences that you asked about. So a lot of times you'll want a specific school district. If you have kids, you're thinking about renting later on. If you're gonna have some kids and you wanna have a little bit bigger house, to kind of accommodate that.
Like what's important? What are your wants list, and then what are your needs list? And it's very interesting because us as a couple, we've had, he's into new homes, I love older homes, right? And older homes need work, but they have much more character. But anyway, so I call it a coming to Jesus conversation with our clients because, the reality is you make the home. you make a home. Location is probably, in my opinion, the most important thing to factor in, because as Chase mentioned, are you going to want to rent that property out later, or is it going to have a good resale value? Because in all honesty, we don't know what forever is. We even think that this is going to be a forever home, but then our plans change. So we always kind of like have this counseling one-on-one session with our buyers, because we wear many hats in real estate. And we're like, okay, I understand you want a garden tub and a big walk-in shower, and the homes that have that are a little bit above your price point. So let's just kind of, maybe a walk-in shower, and you can use a secondary tub when you want to soak, things like that. And they're like, oh, okay, that works out.
All right, so you found your dream home. Now what time it is? It's time to put in an offer. You put in an offer, you work hand in hand with your real estate agent, where you talk about all the things that you're gonna try to get with this house. We're talking about like seller's concessions, if you're gonna try to get anything like that, if you want things repaired, all of those kind of things we talk about beforehand. We go ahead and put in that offer, and then we wait and see what happens.
So seller concessions is basically what we're asking the seller to give from their proceeds over to the buyer, so they can use for closing cost assistance, rate buy down, home warranty, repairs on the house. There's a lot that you can move the money around within the contract, and it's important to communicate efficiently with the other agent on the side so we can have a smooth transaction. So there's a lot of negotiating back and forth. Communication's key. It's very important, and it typically takes 24 hours. For once a buyer sends it over to the seller, they may counter back or they may accept, and that can go on. But a good agent tries to get an offer executed within 48 hours. Sometimes people's schedules are a little off, so it may take a little bit longer. Texas does not have a certain time frame that a seller has to get back to the buyer on an offer, but typically we see 24 hours. And our next step, so once you make an offer, the offer is executed, the fun thing, this is Chase's favorite thing, it's the inspection.
Yeah, getting an inspection on your house is super important. Doesn't matter if it's a pre-owned home or if it's a brand new construction home that you had built from the ground up. It is still very important to have somebody else, a third-party inspector, come out there and take a look at somebody else's work. Some of the things that your inspector is going to be able to help you with are any kind of mold, water damage, or any structural issues that could cost you in the long run. Some of the things that your inspector is not going to do, though, they're not going to knock down any walls to see if there's any frame damage or anything like that. They may be able to point out a lot of things, but they're not going to do those repairs for you. You're going to have to find a qualified contractor to help you out with those kind of things. But having an inspection is key.
Yes, definitely. And an inspection report is not an opportunity to ask the seller to fix every single thing on the inspection report. As Chase mentioned, we're looking at structural stuff, roofing, plumbing, HVAC system, foundation, things that are going to cost buyers a lot of money to fix. So if it's cosmetic, that's not necessarily something that a seller has to fix.
All right, so we're at the last step now. Once the inspection has been completed, all the necessary repairs are done, it's time to pick up those keys, right? Now, there's a little bit more that you have to do. It's going through the closing process. And, realistically, that's the culmination of all that documents you've been sending to your lender. But you're at the finish line, and like I said, you are getting your keys pretty soon. You just have to do a lot of signing. Hopefully you do some hand stretches, something like that, because you're gonna sign a lot of papers in this.
Yeah, we usually tell our buyers take 45 minutes to an hour. This is the buyer's due diligence to make sure they understand everything that, the realtor, the lender, everything that they've throughout the whole 30-day, 45-day process of buying that home. It's kind of coming back, as he mentioned, to XYZ, and yes, I check up on it and sign it. And then once it's closed and funded, it's officially yours. It's always nice to have your realtor and lender there. We always try to make every single closing. Sometimes some of our military families aren't here for closing, so they do a mobile notary. But we do try to go to every single one of our closings. And, it's interesting because our first home that we bought, our realtor didn't show up to closing, but that was a different experience. By the way, I wrote a book about buying and selling in real estate, so if you want me to mail that out to you, you can have a free copy. Just let us know.
Buying your first home is an exciting and rewarding experience. but it can also be overwhelming. By following these steps and working with professionals who can guide you through the process, you can feel confident in your decision and enjoy your new home for years to come. If you made it this far, I'm sure you're looking at buying a house pretty soon. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned home buyer, you're thinking about moving to the New Braunfels, the San Antonio area, anywhere around here, what do you got to do?
You definitely have to reach out to us. So we do real estate full-time here in New Braunfels or San Antonio, and we love what we do. So you need to text us, call us, email us, because we're going to guarantee that you're going to live your best life in Texas, whether that be New Braunfels, floating the river, or San Antonio. We're going to help you out.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.